morning, everybody. Uh, today, today is a good day. Uh, we'll be doing something that we haven't done in a while, um, and many might see this as me being petty, but it is not. I am not being petty. I'm doing this to show something, and the thing I'm going to show is what would it look like? What would it look like if a believer, Christian, whatever you want to call them, decided to do what atheists do? What would it look like if we as believers spent our every waking moment speaking about the thing that we do not believe in? What would that look like? Secondarily, what would be the purpose of a believer spending their every waking moment speaking about the thing they didn't believe existed? I've always been fascinated by that viewpoint. Also, how is it that they never seem to go after certain other religions the same with the same ferocity? Can anyone explain that to me? I don't see them lambasting Buddhism or modern day spiritualism or tantric stuff or the Muslim faith. I don't see them going after them as hard. I understand why they won't go after the Muslims. I get that part because they'll die. Atheists are stupid, but they're not so stupid that they go after the one religion that would absolutely behead them. Can you imagine an atheist just going on a tirade about Muhammad the way they go on about Jesus and the scriptures? Can you imagine what would happen to that channel? Heck, can you imagine what would happen to him in real life? That that would be, man. Look. They look. They understand. They understand at least this much. They have been used to us being docile, which is why you see they react the way they react when they encounter someone like this channel that will go at them with the same level of intensity and, I guess you'd call it, rage as they do against Christians. When they encounter their own energy, they get absolutely intensely angry at you for doing that. And all of a sudden, now they are like, well, that's not very Christian. But hold on, you call Christians bigots all the time, and you say that they're opposite of what they believe. So if I'm the opposite of what I believe, then what I'm acting like should be considered normal by your standard. But what you don't like is the pushback. Atheists hate when you push back like they do. They cannot stand when you clap back. Like, okay, so for me, they keep saying that we believe in a book written by man. Okay. And it's fallacious, it's got all kinds of contradictions. Yet still, they believe books written by man. But for some reason, their books are not fallacious and they're not contradictory at all. Even though there are multiple ways to believe what a man writes. They believe the same way they say we believe, but theirs is right and ours is not. I just find them hilarious. I find them really hilarious. I just think that if you have your own point of view, that you really believe that God does not exist, then show me proof that he doesn't exist. The same way you ask Christians to prove God exists, prove to us he doesn't. Because if by nature you asking me to prove something to you, you must believe that there might be proof. The same way, if you, and then telling me also that I can't believe something if there is no proof, you should be able, by your own standard, to prove to me God does not exist. Now, if I can get one atheist to tell me that prove to me God does not exist, because that's what you believe, he does not. So prove to me he doesn't exist so that I can believe like you do. Because obviously, I believe what I read, whether it has contradictions or not. I still believe it. So the only thing left to do is to prove to me that the very basis of my belief is non existent, like, say, God. They have not done that yet. So I'm going to harp on one particular individual today because they made my day yesterday. They were quite hilarious in the chat. And I consider them, I'm going to say it again, me, Mr. Brown, straight talk guy, I believe this person is an atheist. I genuinely believe that this person is an atheist posing as Christian kind of believer in spirituality kind of nonsense. Um, I'll read for you the description of their channel because it's laughable. At the minimum, it's laughable. And when you hear their comments, it's just as laughable. Okay. The name of their channel is Forgiven Redemption. Forgiven. I want y'all to first make that make sense. Can you all help me with that one? I want you to really think about the title, Forgiven Redemption. Now, I've said this before, right? You heard me say this before. I am not smart. Have I said that before? Have I said that multiple times before? Have I not been on this platform from day one telling everybody that I am not a scholar, I'm not an intelligent human being? That is not me. Have I said that before? Have any of you heard me say that before? Yes? Okay, cool. Now, I know for a fact I'm not smart. I have no problem saying that about, look, you can call me a moron and it'd be true. I'd be fine with that. Facts are just facts. You're not gonna find me saying I'm super smart. In fact, I have allowed people to denigrate my intelligence with no problems. I don't mind if you come after me, my looks, none of that. Every time people come to this platform to speak nonsense and they go after one thing is when I lose it. There's only, well, two things I lose it on. Your inability to answer the question, and if you talk sideways about God. Those are the two things I'm not leaving any leeway for. I'm just not having the patience for that. I'm not doing it. Okay. So I'm respectful until you don't answer my question or you come straight out the gate talking sideways about God. I don't see how those are not parameters you can say I didn't give out. I just don't see how you don't get that part. Since this is not a Q&A, let me ask you a counter question before I answer your question. To what ends are you asking me this question? To what ends are you asking me those questions? When you answer that question, I will see whether or not I'm going to answer this one. I have a suspicion, but I don't want to just jump the gun. So I'm going to ask for a clarifier before I answer the question. To what ends are you posing this question? If you can please give me that one. That'd be great. So let's get into my boys thing here. Look at my boy right here. Little boy. So Mr. Forgiven Redemption says, stop erasing people's comments to make yourself seem like an intelligent man. It doesn't work and it is evil. It's evil. Okay, so the clarifier. I asked because it seemed topical towards forgiveness and redemption. I wanted to explore the concept from a Christian mindset. Are you a Christian? But since you clarified and I said I would answer your question, he died for all sin. And sin is not an action. So it's if you're looking at this from a behavioral standpoint, that's not what he died for. His death was to cover all sin as a locational thing, because sin separated us. The death is what gave us an avenue back. So it's not for one sin, two sin, three sin. I have more sin than anybody else, so I'm not forgiven. It's for all sin, every sin, because sin itself is a separation. So it's not like, oh, he died for disobedience here, and then he died for murder here, and then, oh, he might die for lying here. It's the separation. He died to fulfill the punishment that was due for man's sin. Death was the punishment. Death was the penalty. The only way you can erase the penalty is if someone of perfect who had never committed these things died on our behalf. That's what he did. So there is no forgiveness, redemption, or forgiveness of redemption, or however that phrase, forgiven redemption, makes zero sense. They're not two separate thought processes in his title. Forgiven redemption is a statement that makes no sense whatsoever. So I don't see why you would try and separate the two to make his channel make sense, because his channel doesn't make sense. It simply doesn't. So there, answered your question. Now, are you a Christian? That's my question to you. Are you a Christian? Okay, then we have nothing to discuss. We have nothing to discuss. I never said sin and behavior are separate. That's what you said. I never said sin and behavior are separate. Where did you hear me say that? Did I say sin and behavior are separate? Did I say that? Let me ask that first. Did I say sin and behavior are separate? Or is that what you think you're hearing? Please tell me what I said. Did I say sin and behavior are separate? Did I say that? It shouldn't take you that long to answer yes or no, Mogi. Come on. Did I say that? No. You are misinterpreting what I said. In fact, you're lying. Did I say sin and behavior are separate? Answer the actual question, Mogi. Did I say what you said I said? Answer the question. Just answer my question, bro. It's that simple. Just answer my question. Didn't I give a precursor this morning when I said there were two things that'll piss me off real quick? Idiots not answering questions and then talking sideways about God. Didn't I say that was the biggest peeve of mine? And here you go. Okay, then why the heck are you saying it? If that's not what I said, why are you putting that as a precursor to anything I've said? Why bring that in when it's not part of the conversation? Because you want to interject your stupidity into this. That's your problem. You want to add your own moronic twist on things, and it's not going to work here. If you would just not put words in people's mouth, they might have a conversation with you. But nobody said that. Your inferences are making you look like a fool. You believe in talking animals, witches, witchcraft, demons, walking on ether, God turning into burning bush, and a stick turning into a snake. They are illogical and irrational. Okay, cool. And that's what they are. You don't have to believe it. We do. And we believe in the irrational and the illogical. What now? No, you're not. You are not interested whatsoever in anything. If you were, you would have a good faith conversation and not add to anything. Okay, good. Then believe your magic somewhere else. Nobody invited you here to talk about this. I'm making clowns of atheists today. I'm not having conversations with them. You know the difference between it? One's clowning and trolling. The other one is actually talking to them. I'm not doing that today. If you believe that God is all this stuff, then don't follow him. I didn't ask you to. It like literally nobody's asking you to follow God. Not a soul. No, nobody's asking you to follow God. If you don't believe in him, don't believe in him. That's your call. I can attack whatever I want. It's my platform. I don't need to defend what I believe to you. You told me what right? So I'm there. That's what I believe. You're not going to change my mind, and I don't need to defend it to you. You believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. There you go. I'm willing to take back a you mean a lie. That's what you're trying to say, not a misrepresentation. You should be saying, I want to take back my lie. I don't insist on your words, good sir. I would like to engage on redemption. No, nope, not here. Sorry. Nope. I already told you what it is. If you don't like the answer, too bad. It's that easy. I don't have to have a conversation with you about it. You see how simple that was? I'm not here to convince you of anything, and you can't convince me of what you believe either. Can someone please kick Ryan Jones out the room? He's being an absolute moron right now, and I really don't have a time for his waste of space in this environment. Thank you. As for you, Mogi, we do not have any, and kick Dr. Octagon as well, too. We don't need any skull and bones idiots in here as well. Perfect. I'm glad we're on the same boat with that one. Now, kick Mama too, because they always come in with the. You know what? Hold on. No, don't kick this one. Don't kick this one. I want to see the prime example of something here. This is a good example, because remember I told you I don't get mad at people insulting me. That's not a problem. Say it with your chest. Don't put the N-word in there. Say it. No. Say it. Say the word. Say the word. You're thinking it, right? Go ahead and type it out. Type it out, mama. Aren't you the big, bad, bold one? Type it out. Better yet, show your face. Oh, no, you have to hide behind an emoji and a caricature. You can't say it? You don't want to say it? No, go ahead and say it. Be brave. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say it. Type it out. It'll make you feel better. Type it out. Type it out. Come on. No, don't laugh now. Don't laugh. Just type it out. Nobody here will judge you. Just go ahead and type it out. Type, because I don't know which N word you mean. Naughty, numbskull. What N word do you mean? Just come on, say it out. Say it out. Come on, type it out. Trust me, you'll feel so much better once you can get it out in the open. Go ahead, type it out. Don't let, silly, trivial things like societal norms mess with you. Just go ahead and type it out. Nobody here will block you for saying the word. El Negros, but El Negros doesn't start with an N. It starts with an E. So I'm saying, just say the word. Is that what you meant? Negroes? Oh, that's not too bad. If Negroes is what you're trying to say, then you could type that. Why wouldn't you just type that out to begin with? Something tells me that's not the word you were trying to say. Something tells me you're a chicken and you don't want to say the word because you know what? You might get caught up in something and people might know who you are and they might report you to somewhere. We're not going to. We're not going to report you at all. Like at all. We'll actually laugh with you. Just say it. Go ahead and say it. Fish and normalcy. I don't know what those words mean. I'll wait for you to type it out. I won't bring you back up until you can get yourself, level headed enough to say the words. So let's go back to Mr. Forgiven Redemption here. Forgiven Redemption says, stop erasing people's comments to make yourself seem like an intelligent man. It doesn't work and it is evil. So apparently, controlling the things on my page is evil now. Deleting comments is evil. I mean, I'm not going to get into what he thinks evil really is, but if evil is just deleting a comment, dang. Deleting a comment is evil? I didn't know that. I really didn't know that just deleting a comment is evil. So let me ask, which particular comment to delete? Is it the type of comment I delete is evil, or any of the comments I delete is evil? So like say someone comes in and they say, I know where you live. They put my address and a picture of my children up there. Should I leave that there or should I delete it? And if I delete it, is it evil of me to delete that? I'm just saying, is it evil for me to believe that I should delete that or should I leave it? Anyway, by the way, I've never deleted anybody's comments. I don't delete comments. Um, in fact, I like seeing the comments as much as I can. So this is what we're going to go through all of this particular person's comments. And I said, nobody's erasing comments. And I laughed. He said, no, they certainly are. Is it they or me? Pick your poison. Am I the one doing it? Or is there some entity out there doing it? They certainly are. I have had at least 10 erased, genius. Stop lying. You are proving why I don't talk to atheists. I will screenshot all the comments I have of yours, which is what I'm going to do today. FYI, I feel like erasing your comments. Okay, maybe I'm having a stroke. FYI, if I feel like erasing your comments, I can. If I feel like blocking you, I will. If I feel like making a video about you, I will. Nothing you can do about it but moan and complain like a little girl. Okay. What did he say to that? Well, he didn't show back up in this thread. So Mr. So-and-so did chime in, though. So let's go to the other things he said. So we'll close that up. And here he is with his book. He came in with a book now. Okay. A book, an entire book. So let's read the entire book. In our civilization, let me do it. Probably Forgiven. You would think Forgiven has a British accent. I think I said I think now. I think he might have a British accent. I think he might. I think he might have a British accent. And for those of you that think that example was a little too far, it's not, okay, because I've had people threaten that stuff before. So anyway, in our civilization, what is denied by an atheist who says there is no God? Not idols or images which men may seek to placate, not philosophical construction or mythological creatures or figures, certainly not a universe itself, either as an infinite or everlasting whole, or as finite as temporal, but equally mysterious in its ultimate incomprehensibility to the human mind. Now, can anyone tell me where he had a topic in that statement? Or better yet, what did he answer? So let me answer it for him. What is denied by an atheist who says there is no God? You want to have a really simple answer instead that long nonsensical rant? God. see, see how easy that is? Ain't nobody need to go on in a 15 paragraph explanation. In our civilization, what is denied by an atheist who says there is no God? God. Yeah. God. Hmm. Now let's see what extra he adds on top of it. Let's see here. Supernatural. Okay, let's go back to but equally mysterious in its ultimate incomprehensibility to the human mind. In our civilization, the atheist denies the existence of a supernatural being. To object of religious belief and worship among Jews, Christians, and Muslims. 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 Let me do a quick research of a word here. Uh, Muslims. Let me see if I can get this right here. What is the difference between Muslim and Muslim? I will compare the terms Muslim and Muslim, and I will use each in a sentence, and I will give you a useful trick to help determine whether you should choose Muslim or Muslim in your writing. Let's see. When to use Muslim. Muslim is an alternative spelling of Muslim, and the words have the same meanings in all contexts, and both spellings have been in use for several centuries. Muslim was the preferred spelling until about 20th century. Today, Muslim is the preferred spelling. So apparently, he lives in the 20th century, way before the 20th century. He's an old soul. So I picked the right language to speak about him in. The helpful trick. Muslim was preferred up until the 20th century, but today it is outdated. Since Muslim and outdated are both spelled with an O, you should probably have no trouble choosing Muslim, which is the more up-to-date spelling of the term. So which spelling is preferred, Muslim or Muslim? It is not difficult to remember which is the preferred spelling in modern times. The word Muslim is outdated and contains letter O. If you link Muslim to and outdated it in your mind, you will easily remember to choose Muslim instead of the contemporary audiences. So I will speak like this forever. Okay, Muslim. Let's consider them Muslims from now on. He denies the single person who God created the world out of nothing, who transcends the created universe and sustains it by his immanent power, unlimited power, who has made the laws and the government of all things, and cares for each particular by his providence, and who created man in his own image, revealing himself and his will to man, and metes out the eternal rewards and punishments to the children of Adam, whom he also helps by his grace. As you can tell, he's trying to give himself as a intellect and smart. So let's give him that. And he went from, he seems to me like he's one of those guys that does every religion all wrapped up into one. I think that's what he is. He is a universal religionist. Boethius has the term defined a person as an individual substance of rational nature. So let me get this right. A man has defined man as something, and you take that. A man writes about God, and you don't take that. I'm just going by your own definition. If a man writes about man, one is believable, the other is not believable because you believe one, but not the other, for no other reason other than you believe it. So then by what metric are you making mine worse than yours? Or, as Locke later said, a thinking, intelligent being. That would be a monkey too. An ape would be a thinking, intelligent being because they can learn a lot. Heck, they send monkeys to space. Would that be considered a person? And there are plenty of persons that are not very intelligent or thinking, kind of like you. I don't understand. So are you not a person? What would you be? In applying the term person to God, in the meaning of Boethius had given it, Aquinas comments on the difference in the meaning when it is applied to men. God can be said to have had a rational nature, he writes, only if reason be taken to mean not this curative thought, but in general sense, an intelligent nature. God cannot be called an individual in the sense in which physical things are, but only in the sense of uniqueness. Substance can be applied to God only in the sense of signifying self-substance, self-substance. Aquinas does not include from this part a person is said improperly of God, but rather that when God is called personal, the meaning is implied in a more excellent way, for God does not possess, God is an intelligence. These are the kinds of people that ramble on and say nothing after thinking they've said something. If you've noticed in all of his talk, he's going through different philosophers, and he has not yet substantiated his viewpoint about anything because he doesn't have one. He has everybody else's, just not his own. And I think what they also fail to realize that in Christianity, we do not go based on what civilization decides. And this is why you cannot speak to an atheist, because they're always going to come from the perspective of a man saying something as real, while at the same time telling you that man came up with the idea of religion. So what they're really telling you is that they believe one man over the other man because that's the man they choose to believe. And again, I don't mind you believe in some other man, but by what metric is your man more believable than mine? That's all. I just want to know what makes the man you believe more believable than mine. Or better yet, what makes yours right and mine wrong? Untrue, Lisa. You're not blocked. Everyone can see you speaking. I would never block you. Why would I block you? I wouldn't be surprised if he cut and pasted that. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he cut and pasted that. Like at all. So let's find his other comments, shall we? Because he went on quite a tirade. There are two ways in which to see Christ. One is by knowledge, which will only lead one to a shadow of Christ, and the other is faith. Only faith can lead one directly to Christ. So hold on. So there are not two ways to see Christ. You see what I mean? Do you see what I mean by these people are absolutely delusionally stupid? They say the stuff they say to sound smart, but in reality, they're absolute retarded human beings. You just said, your words, there are two ways in which to seek Christ. You're a liar. That's what you are, you're a liar. Okay? Two ways to seek Christ. One is by knowledge, which will lead one to a shadow of Christ. So is that Christ or is it a shadow of Christ? And if that's one way, then you're not seeking Christ, you're seeking the shadow of. So you tell me there's only one way to seek Christ. My goodness. My goodness. Only faith can lead one directly to Christ. It is only by faith that one will be allowed to enter heaven. It is only by the blood of Jesus Christ that all sins can be forgiven. This man's anger does not express the fear one has of God for one's sins, nor the love of Jesus Christ for all, sinners included. He has been led astray. Led astray. So, Mr. So-and-so, I'll be reading your comments. Once again, read all the posts that you've put forth. Did you go to Cackling Kamala's School of Word Salad Nonsense? You keep forgetting to start out with a proper noun, a person, place, or thing, so that we may know who, what, or the idea you're referring to. First of all, we don't seek Jesus Christ. We seek the Creator, the Father, and His kingdom. Then we learn through talking to God and His word, faith, that Jesus Christ sacrificed for us. It's the only path to then onward be acceptable allowance and the entrance into the Father's kingdom. See, your problem is you have combined all the pagan religions known as Catholicism and the various offshoots to be Christian. If you didn't like the rebuke you got, then I'm guessing that then stop being a Karen, feminist who pokes the bear thinking it's safer than a man. Neither man nor bears are completely passive doormats. And now you attempt at being a victim as a worthless appeal on this channel, because a real Christian knows they are a victim of their own self-importance or thinking they were the god of their own life and destiny. Once they realize that they are before the only living God, absolutely nothing do they start their journey. Just admit you're a big dummy. Who did this stream? You're behaving like a child. Wait a minute. That sounds like what you say. I'm anger. That sounds like anger. This man's anger does not express the fear of God. That sounds like anger, Mr. Forgiven Redemption. You just admit you're a big dummy. You're acting exactly the same as Jordan Peterson was in his, usurping of what? What did Jordan, that's not even the use of that word there. What did he usurp? Others might be fooled, I'm not. Wait, is this anger I sense? And he never replied to that one. So let's see if there's any more. Let's check again. I'm hoping that I show you guys why I don't discuss anything with these people. It's circular arguments. 2 Timothy, ever hearing and never able to come to the understanding of truth. This man is not a man of God, and he reminds me of Jordan Peterson, what with all his arbitrary anger. Is it anger or is it arbitrary anger? Let's do another thing, because I'm the dummy. I want to make sure. Let's look up arbitrary, okay? Arbitrary, determined by chance, whim, impulse, or not by necessity, reason, or principle, based on or subject to individual judgment or preference. So I have an individual preference of anger. Yes, of course I choose to. Of course I choose. That's the whole point. I choose to get angry when I get angry. Obviously, most people do that. Sometimes it's outside of my control, but it's always in my control because I have the decision to be angry or not. I can calm myself down with, of course, some what you call self-control. However, I choose not to because I've decided my limit. You see, I've decided my limit. My limit is you. You are my limit. I no longer have patience for folks like you. That's not, I mean, I'm just saying. So let's see. I think I'm blocked from answering you properly by the person making the video or being moderated out. If that were the case, if I were blocking you from answering, there'd be no answers because I just block you permanently from the channel. But I have not done that. Obviously, because you can still comment. Now, if you type something that's a key word for YouTube to censor, they may sequester your comment or delete it altogether. That's not a me thing. I never block anybody's comment. Now, I will kick you from the room and block you completely from the channel if you refuse to answer questions or you continually mock my God. I will do that, no problem. I've admitted that. And I won't even feel bad about that. Have I ever not told people the reasons that I'm going to mock people and why the reasons why I would block you? Have I ever not said that, or have I made that abundantly clear? Have I not made that abundantly clear? Have I ever backtracked on when I tell people don't insult God and answer the question? I have never removed myself from those two criteria ever. They're always up front, always the first thing I say. And if you don't do those two things, we don't have a conversation. It really is that simple. I don't know how people can't get it. But then again, I know they never listen. They don't listen. But no, Mr. Forgiven Redemption, you are not blocked. This is a shame. He has no patience. Unlike God, I answered once before and well. No, you didn't. And no, it was not well. And in fact, we can go back to the live and find your comment and see if you actually answered my question. Should we do that? You know what? Hold on. Let me take a gander at something. Let me go back to possibly finding his comment popping up, okay? I think he came in near the end, right? Let me see if I can find it here. I'm looking to see if I can find the exact clip of his statement to see if he answered the question. I don't want nobody saying I lied on them. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can find it here. Nope, that's not it. Forgiven Redemption. There was another guy there, Gilbert. Yusa, what is his name? Yeah, Yassine. Um, Yassine was up there. Let me see here. Forgiven Redemption is not up there yet. That one is Gilbert, Alex Gilbert. Alex Gilbert. I don't see your comment brought up, but I do remember asking you a question in the comment section. I'm checking to see if I find it, if I brought you up on screen. Can anybody remember the timestamp or when it was in the show that I had that dude chime in? I'm looking. I think we remember we had a couple of people that popped in that had the same, it was the same person, but they came in on different accounts. Nope, can't find it. But if I remember correctly, he never answered my question. And I do remember us having that discussion live that he did not answer his question. So you're rationalizing, but that's exactly what you did in your entire diatribe before. You are rationalizing your viewpoint as well. So to tell somebody that they're rationalizing makes no sense. So let's see what you're telling him he's rationalizing. It seems you replied quite well, but you failed to answer the questions I put forth. You might have been removed from the live chat, but uh, but I, but if had been forthwith on answering questions uh, put forth to you honestly and quickly, you probably wouldn't have been blocked from live chat. He wasn't blocked from live chat because if he was blocked in the live chat, he would have been blocked completely from the channel. Just so you know, Mr. So and so, if I block them in the live chat, they're blocked from the channel right off the rip. They can be muted, then they can be muted from the chat. But if we block them, which is what I ask, then they'd be blocked. He was not blocked because he can still comment here. You're rationalizing, you're assuming without evidence. Correlation is not causation. That's a basic principle of logic. So hold on. You're assuming without evidence. What's your evidence for no God? One, you may not believe there's no God, but secondarily, what's your rationalization? Because what you're doing, that you are blocked from commenting. This is what you assume, right? That you're blocked. You are assuming without evidence that you're blocked. I'm going to show you how they're stupid. Listen to how they're stupid. You are assuming without evidence. Correlation is not causation. Perfect. You are assuming you are blocked and I'm deleting comments without evidence. Correlation that you can't see your comments is not causation, me removing them. You see, that is a basic principle of logic. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad you said that. Now that's yours. That's your term. You say that. So if that's the case, then why accuse me of deleting your comments because I want to look smart without proof? You cannot prove that I deleted your comment. There's no evidence of that. You are using a correlation of your comments going away to infer causation, me doing it. That's not very logical by your own metric, not mine. That's your metric. I'm just using your metric, buddy, not mine. Just because you don't have the ability to understand nuance doesn't mean I'm vague. It's more likely only means you're not well read. Chatman was asking questions that demanded time and more characters than anyone was allowed. Really? Really? Did I ask any question that required a mouthful of words? This is what I asked. One of the big ones I asked: name one time or any book that has done what the Bible has done by means of prophecy and by means of predicting what is coming. That was one of my questions. Just name one book. That takes a lot of characters. That takes a lot of characters. I don't think that takes a lot of characters. Either you know of a book or you don't know of a book. I'm just trying to figure. That was one of the biggest questions I had that nobody answered that day. Nobody. Either you know of a book or you don't know of a book. By the way, demanding others explain your own claim, I asked nobody to explain my own claim. You wanted an explanation of my claim. And I told you I just believe. That wasn't sufficient for you. Your own claim is also a fallacy of logic. We never claimed that the Bible or God requires logic. In fact, it actually requires the absence of human logic. That's the best part of following God. He does not require you to make it logical, because the very definition of salvation is illogical to man. The entirety of salvation is illogical to man. It does not make sense. It will never make sense. You looking for it to make sense will be a pointless venture. I don't know how many times people have to say that. The onus, burden of proof, is always on the interlocutor. Not true, but hey, that's what you say. You're the one that says there is no God. I didn't invite you to the conversation. You said there is no God. So when I ask you something along those lines, you should be able to answer me too, right? If you're looking for me to prove God to you, and I'm looking for you to prove God's non-existence, then by your own logic, this is not mine, your own logic, you should be able to prove your point as well. So which atheist can prove to me there is no God? Prove your stance that there is no God. Prove it. That's my challenge to an atheist. Prove, prove, prove there is no God. These are simple concepts, and Mr. Straight Talk is being immoral for not taking that into account. Immoral? Hold on. Again, I'm the dummy. Not moral, inconsistent with rectitude, purity, good morals, contrary to conscience of the divine law, wicked, unjust, dishonest, vicious. I don't see how me not wanting to talk about that or have that in communication with you is immoral. I don't get that one. You should probably stop lying to people about being a man of God. Or hear me out. Here's a better one. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it. Okay, so let me ask you this. What claim have I made? What premise has this channel made? You tell me. Give me my premise. I would love to hear what you say I have made as my premise. Okay, so why is he mentioning a premise? Or why is he even mentioning an interlocutor? I made no such claim. I never made a claim. He walked in and made a claim to me about what he believes. I never made any such thing. I have never made such a thing to anybody that didn't already believe it. Okay. Blocked? This fool. Let's see what else he says. Because he has quite a few of them, I'm telling you. You do notice he gave no recourse to neither Christian nor atheist to answer any of his questions. He gave a time limit as if God works within the realm of time and has no patience. I think he was being awful. You do notice he gave no recourse to neither Christian nor atheist to answer any of his. Did did I ask a Christian anything yesterday? Did I ask any Christian anything yesterday? Just a question. What did I? I'm confused again. Uh, let's see here. I can't educate you and argue with you at the same time. But ain't that what you're doing in the comment section, homie? But but isn't that exactly what you're doing? On the one hand, you've had multiple comments trying to educate, and on the other hand, at the same time, you arguing. You're doing exactly what you said you can't do. This dude has to be high typing this out. Like he's got to be there has to be a large amount of, a copious amount of crack. More consequences for thought and action follows from affirmation or denial of God than from answering any other basic question. They follow for those who regard the question as answerable only by faith or only by reason, and even for those who insist upon suspending judgment entirely. They, I'm assuming you're talking about consequences. So consequences follow those who regard the question as answerable only by faith or only by reason, and even for those who insist upon suspending judgment entirely. So consequences, there are more consequences. There are more or more consequences for thought and action follows from affirmation or denial of God than from answering any other basic. In addition to the primary question of God's existence, there are the problems of the divine nature and the nature of the world of man to the nature of God's. And the solution of these problems cannot help influencing man's conception of the world in which he lives, the position that he occupies in it, and the life to which he is called. The whole tenor of human life is certainly affected by whether men regard themselves as supreme beings in the universe or acknowledge a superior, uh, a human being whom they conceive as of an object of the fear and love, a force to be defied, or a lord to be obeyed. Among those who acknowledge the divinity, it matters greatly whether a divine is represented merely by the concept of God, the object of philosophical speculation, or by the living God whom men worship in all acts of piety which compromise the rituals of religion. As you can see, there was plenty of time that he answered very long and nothing was blocked. I don't know how he said he didn't have anyway. The most radical differences in man's conception of his own nature follow from the exclusion of divinity as its source or model on the one hand, and from the various ways in which man is seen as participating in divinity on the other. Some of these topics are merely philosophical. They belong to a subject matter of rational speculation or poetic in imagination in all the great epochs of culture, regardless of differences of religious belief. Other topics, however, are peculiarly restricted to matters of faith or religion. With respect to such matters, dogmatic differences in articles of faith must explicitly be recognized. No, no, they shouldn't. No, no, they shouldn't. I, that I should. Why should they? I just want to know where you got the idea that I should recognize them. Where in any of that should I recognize anybody else's faith? Why should I recognize anybody else's faith? Anyway, the materials here assembled must therefore, in some instances, be divided according to their origin from pagan or the Jewish and Christian sources. This is the group which deals with the doctrines common to these three religions as distinguished from the tenets on which Judaism, Islam, and Christianity differ dogmatically. The existence of certain common beliefs in the Western tradition enables me to begin, as it seems advisable to do, with the concept of God that is shared by the religions of Western culture today. So, in other words, you can't decipher through anything logically, so you just take all of them. I'm going to make this really simple. I'm going to break down all he said into 3 lines. You ready for this? I'm going to take all of this and put it into 3 lines. You ready? There are consequences for everything we believe, and I choose to believe everything rolled into one. That way, I give everybody equal say. Bam. All that commenting for something you could have just said in 3 lines. Let's see what else you said. Is that the only thing you said? That's it. That was him. Now, to read his channel's description. You ready for this? I am a traditional classical humanist in the vein of Gora Vidal and Harold Bloom. I think hope is a great way to great disappointment, as I'm a positive pessimist, meaning the postmodern slogans. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to bring this up for everyone to see. Okay, because I'm going to need help with this one. I'm going to need help with this one, y'all. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Can I zoom in anymore? There we go. I am a traditional classical humanist in the vein of Gora Vidal and Harold Bloom. I think hope is a great way to great disappointment. Hold 1 second. Let us go to something that I think we need to address, and I think it's a good thing to address. For I know the plans, I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. So let me get this right. You think that there is a God and you believe in Jesus. That's what he said in a couple of his statements. But you're also against hope because hope is a great way to great disappointment. But God himself said that he knows the thoughts I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. So you're an atheist. I was right. Okay, cool. Let's continue. As I am a positive pessimist, meaning the postmodern slogans I hear today, I believe are nonsense propaganda. Thus, I am always looking out the Overton window from the corner of one eye or the other. That just means you don't know how to make up your dang mind. All that means is you cannot make up your own mind. You keep things fluid because you don't want to commit to anything. You are commitedless. You have no idea how to commit to jack squat in your life. Your head is so open, your brains have already fallen out. It's just blam on the floor, picking up old gum and dust and rot. It's just fall and floor, blam. Your issue is this, forgiven redemption. You are a living, operating oxymoron. That's what you are. You're a walking conundrum. You're not even an enigma because that can be solved. You're a conundrum. You have mental constipation. You need to go, but you can't commit to doing it because something's blocking you. More likely because you had the urge to go and you sat on it for too long and now it becomes impacted. You have a lot of verbal diarrhea, but you'll never get any relief. In the words of Joker from the Tim Burton Batman, this town needs an enema. This guy needs an enema. Anyway, let's continue his description. Thus, I am always looking out the Overton window from one corner of the eye or the other. Nevertheless, you may worship your corporate masters if you wish. I assume you think you right. I assume you think like you're right. Okay. What? Who? Bottom line, I love God and I got big evil. Hold on. I love God and I got big evil. You spend all that time using proper English in your mind and large words and all the great philosophers you could think of, only to end your statement is, bottom line, I love God and I got big evil. So let me get this right. You are a God lover, but love evil too. So in other words, the reason why you keep every option open is because you don't want to change anything that you have for the sake of God. That makes sense. Which is why most people don't believe there's a God. See, people who don't believe there's a God want to hold on to something they like. Here's a requirement that God has. You got to give it all up, right? Okay, cool. Most people don't want to do that. They want to find a way to keep their thing and still be called a child of God or a follower of God. And if they can't have that, then there is no God. What God would do that? You remember Stephen Fry? Stephen Fry said, what kind of precious God would want to have? What about bone cancer in children? Huh. What about bone cancer in children? How dare you? Okay, how dare he? If you genuinely believe that God himself is one of the most unfair, evil, vile, disgusting things out there, don't follow him. How is this difficult, atheists? There are people out there that want to. Not everybody drinks, some do. Not everybody eats meat. Some, you ever realize that most vegans are the one that push the crap on people, but most meat eaters don't tell people to eat meat? It's always the most miserable among us that want to coerce others to feel as miserable as they are. That's why I don't talk to atheists. Unless an atheist, you remember Nitty? Y'all remember Nitty? And y'all remember Tux, right? What was the biggest difference between Nitty and Tux? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember the biggest difference between Nitty and Tux? Did Nitty end up agreeing with me? No. Did Tux end up agreeing with me? No. What was the difference between Nitty and Tux? Yeah, and Blackbird. But even with Blackbird, his contention was more scientific. But even at the end of our conversation, he says, "Man, I can't disagree with your viewpoint because you seem to hold on to it regardless of whether people agree with it or not." He still didn't believe me. He didn't agree with me. Nitty doesn't agree with me, but Nitty answered questions. Tux was confrontational from the get-go because he came in angry. That's it. But I had a good conversation with Nitty. Nitty came back a couple of times after too, in the chat, just hanging out. I didn't try to convince Nitty. He asked me a question, I answered the question. I asked him a question, he answered the question. It was really cordial. Majority of atheists don't do that. But here's my genuine thought about Nitty. Nitty isn't really an atheist. Deep down, no. He's looking. I don't know if he'll ever find it, but he's looking. And herein, I think, lies my confirmation. I feel like this notion of giving up really seems complicated. People pick and choose, so which covenants they hold to from my conversations. You see the best way to state what I'm going to say. Mogi, giving up is not complicated. It's not complicated. It is so not complicated. It becomes complicated and convoluted when there is something that you don't want to give up. That's where the complication sets in, because then you start to rationalize why you should keep it. And the instant you start to rationalize why you should keep it, there's contention with the request to give up. So then it becomes complicated. As far as holding on to what covenants they want, there's only one new covenant, and that's the one that Christ made with his blood. He fulfilled everything else from the old covenant with his death. There's nothing old to hold on to. It even says so. Giving up is not complicated. The same way I equate it to this: when people are drowning, you have to wait until they can no longer fight you if you're going to save them. Otherwise, you might drown with them. They are fighting drowning while at the same time increasing their odds of drowning. And the person trying to save them has to wait until they give up, whether that be by choice or all their energy has run out, but they give up. Mankind, because of fall, does not want to give up. It's not difficult. It isn't difficult. When you see who you are, it's really easy. When you don't see who you are, contention. It exists. Israel exists. That's what I think. I think they exist. So you understand me, Mogi? I know the natural tells you, yes, it's a tough thing to let go of this, and what does it really mean to give up? And I get we go through all of that stuff. But in reality, it is not difficult to let go. It is not difficult to give up. It becomes that way when we put ourselves before it. And you can't do that. This is why most people following religion will have a hard time doing it. They want to hold on to the natural while still having the supernatural experiences. The old covenant has been undone with the new covenant's application. How does that match up with Matthew 5:17 through 20? Let's go there. Let's go there. Let's go there. Do you think I came to destroy the law and the prophets? I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Let's stop right there at 18. Did I not just say exactly that? Did you actually read this that you put up? Have you read it? Have you read it? Because I don't think you read it. Right, like at the very beginning, it tells you the answer. So where's the question? Like right as you start reading, it tells you the answer. Did you miss that part? Let's keep reading. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not one jot nor tittle will by no means pass from the law until it is fulfilled. What did he say he was here to do? Please tell me what he was here to do. What did the very first verse say he was here to do? Do what? What was the fulfilling of the law? What was that demarking spot? Please tell me what was the demarking of the end of it. Please tell me what that was. What was it? What was it? What would usher in the fulfillment of the law? What was the signing and the sealing of this new covenant? What was it? His death. He spoke this before his death. Anyway. Okay, well, then believe what you want. Why are you asking me then if you have your own belief? Why are you asking me what I believe if you have your own belief about it? Hold to your belief. What do you need mine for? What do you need mine for? What do you need my viewpoint if you have your own, bro? Why do you need mine? Can you answer that question? Nabitno, can you answer that question? Why do you need my opinion about Israel if you have your own? Because not atheism, but Jews are the ones. Okay, cool. But why do you need my opinion? That didn't answer my question. Why do you need my opinion? Why do you need to test me? Are you the, wait, let me get this right. Are you the arbiter of my salvation? Are you the arbiter of my salvation? Yes or no? Do I have to go through you to be saved? Do I need to go through you to be saved? Yes or no? No, 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 no. Don't say it's an irrelevant question. It's a simple question. Do I need to go through you to be saved? Yes or no? You don't get to decide if my question is irrelevant because you don't know where I'm going with it. Do I need to go through you to be saved? Yes or no? Now, you see how many times I'm giving people the option to answer a simple question, right? You see how many I'm giving them all kinds of time to answer a simple question. Do I need to go through Nabitno to be saved? Yes or no, Nabitno? All right, block Nabitno. He doesn't want to answer the question. Just block him, please. Thank you. It's a block fest today, and I have no problem doing it. I answer to no man. They do not decide my future or my fate. That's between me and God, not between me and man. Pretty simple. If you don't want God, don't want God. I don't know how this is difficult. If you don't love God, then don't love him. If you don't want to follow him, don't follow him. If he is worthless to you, then remain that way. That's okay. That's your option. You can do that. If you want to hear, you can hear. If you don't want to hear, don't hear. I don't understand why it is that I need to try and convince you about something that you're obviously not wanting to be convinced about. It is pretty obvious when you're looking for answers versus looking for contention, especially when your questions go from one thing to another and their gamut is massive between them. And you don't really answer back questions about the reasonings that you're questioning me, but you can instead try to tell me I don't need to ask that question. It tells me you're not interested in hearing anything I have to say. You're interested in me following what you have to say. And I just don't want to follow what you have to say. I mean, that's pretty simple. I don't want to hear you. I have nothing to discuss with you. You don't have a point of view that's going to enhance where I'm at. It's not going to be anything fruitful or productive for me to invest in, so I'm not going to. The same way that you don't have any investing in what I have, I don't need to have it in yours. If you really want to find God, you will find a way to find God. And you will be honest about wanting to find God. But if you don't want to find God, that's completely a 100% okay for you to do. I understand that atheists are out there and they will remain atheists until the day they die. They are completely fine to do so. He is the new covenant. And if you understand one very important thing, you cannot adhere to anything anyway, but that's why he gave his life, not mine, which is why I have to die to self to pick up his life. And that part you won't understand until you park human reasoning. That part you won't get through human reasoning. You will never get that no matter how many schools you go to. You're not going to get that part. There is no convincing a man with as many words as I can possibly. I could be the most learned person. I cannot introduce you verbally to the life that he's calling you to. I can't. No matter how many words I use, you won't get it. No matter what kind of reasonings, none, you won't get it. You are still stuck on a very humanistic view of Christianity. And that's just where you are. I already answered that question, bro. I don't know how many times I need to say it. I don't know how many times I need to repeat myself. Not a single soul in the Old Testament adhered to the old commandments fully. Not one. Not a single one did it. And that is what we need to understand. You could not adhere to it. That's why he gave it to you, to show that you couldn't do it. All the sacrifices that they offered, they had to keep doing it over and over and over and over and over until Christ. Past that point, bro, though, I can't flesh that out for you intellectually because it requires you seeing who you are before God. That part I can't reason you through. If you cannot see yourself before God and who you are, as inadequate as you are before Him, if you cannot get to that point, okay, it's a requirement, it's a must. Human reasoning can't get you there, though. Human reasoning can't get you there. You say you just need to understand. That tells me everything about where you are. You just need to understand. In any case, that need you have to understand will more than likely just be with you till the end of time, man. If that's what you're all going for, is just the need to understand. If your deciding factor is the understanding, it'll only take you so far. Really, it'll only take you so far. Man can take you to the introduction to God. We can. We can introduce you. We can give you the idea, concept of God. Yes. The actual knowledge of who He is comes directly from Him and your participation in the requirements that He has, which is you giving up self in the wanting to know Him. Not while holding on to you, the wanting to let go of you is the beginning of you knowing Him. But if you can't get to that point, man, there's no books I can point you to. I can't do that. I can't make you believe it. There's no coercion tactics. There's none of that. Mogi, there's none of that. That there isn't a point at which I will be able to convince you of it. Paul tried that before. He did. I'll read this to you. Okay, I'll read this to you. Paul had a interaction with a man named Agrippa. Okay, and in his interaction with Agrippa, this was it. Okay, when he had given a whole bunch of information to Agrippa, he had stood there and spoken it. From 19 in, if you go to Acts 26 from verse 19. Therefore, King Agrippa, I was not disobedient to the heavenly vision, but declared first to those in Damascus and in Jerusalem, and throughout all the regions of Judea, and then to the Gentiles, that they should repent, turn to God, and do works befitting repentance. For these reasons, the Jews seized me in the temple and tried to kill me. Therefore, having obtained help from God, to this day I stand, witnessing both to small and great, saying no other things than those which the prophets and Moses said would come, that the Christ would suffer, that he would be the first to rise from the dead, and would proclaim the light to the Jewish people and to the Gentiles. Now, as he thus made his defense, Festus, with a loud voice, said, Paul, you are beside yourself. Much learning has driven you mad. But he said, I am not mad, most noble Festus, but speak the words of truth and reason. For the king, before whom I also freely speak, knows these things. He knows it. He knows it. Agrippa knows knowledge. He has it in his head. It's knowledge. Boop, got it in his head. Cool. He knows these things. For I am convinced that none of these things escapes his attention, since this thing was not done in a corner. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know that you do believe. Then Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuade me to become a Christian. And Paul said, I would to God that you not only you, but also all who hear me today might become both altogether, almost and altogether such as I am, except for these chains. I cannot convince you, Mogi. I cannot make you know, Mogi. No amount of info, history, books is going to help you know, Mogi. Human reasoning can only get a glimpse of the truth about who God is. That's why he says to ask and it shall be answered, seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened. It takes action on our part and faith to engage, as well as courage to accept the truth when you come into the realization and revelation. You can't do this unless you see you. You can't do this unless you see you. It can't happen. Can't happen, man. We are not, because there are many things that should have happened that have not happened yet before that even remotely takes place. Just read through Revelations, you'll understand. I cannot bring you to your own faith. God does that. I can simply give you the introduction. You got to walk through the door. You got to leave your baggage behind. You got to see that you ain't worthy. And if you can't see that, then that is as far as you can go. I just have no energies to put towards an atheist because they're too stuck in that level of proof, the mental, the intellectual proof of God, when he never said he was going to prove himself there. He never said that. He never said that he was going to bring us to the knowledge of him via man's knowledge. He never said that. He never did. And in fact, he said he would use the folly to prove the wise stupid. He would use the simple to confound the wise. He does the exact opposite, which is why all the brainiacs in the world seem to have an issue finding God, because they're too wrapped up in themselves and what they know. And when you get wrapped up in what you know, you don't want to give that up. That's your pride. That's your marker of what intelligence you have. Once you do that, his explanation of things ain't gonna make no sense, because you're still looking for it to make your kind of sense. It doesn't make your kind of sense. It makes his kind of sense. That's why I don't feel a need to convince nobody. I can't. God does. I simply introduce you to the man and you do with him what you will. I can't convince you. Look, I was a person that was, look, when we're talking about book, I wanted to know, no, 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 no. I had to know something to know it. That didn't help me at all. You know what the longest journey for me was, from my head to my heart? That was the hardest journey for me. That was so long. It was the longest thinking journey ever, because I refused to actually leave my head. But hey, to each his own. You do what you do. Okay. It's up to you. It'll always be up to you. It is not up to some pastor, preacher, prophet. It's up to you. At the end of your life, you only answer for you, not for me, for you. I give an account for me. You give an account for you. The deeds done in the flesh is what I give an account for. I don't do anything else past that. Either way, we'll be back on Monday. Um, yeah, we'll be back on Monday. This was entertaining and hilarious, but I'm glad that we did manage to get some meat in there too. That's good. I'm going to call it a day for now. We'll be back with Savage Patriots today. We'll be covering that big fight that happened in Seattle between a pro-life God movement that went down there to have a march and Antifa that showed up and made things violent. Ironically, it's the same group that um, my wife has been a part of over here. They went over there to have it, and one of my former fighters was actually there doing security. So I might buzz him up during the show to have him give us a full rundown of what happened. Oh, that's right. No show on Monday. That's right, because I have that piano. Thank you, Chris. See, old brain's not working. We'll be back on Tuesday for Straight Talk. Monday is no go because I have a piano. Okay. So we'll be back on Sunday, though. Speaking of which, let me grab the link. Let me grab the schedule here. Schedule. Oh, no. Not today. There we go. June 1st. Copy invitation. I'm going to put it up right now on the channel so you have it in posts. Okay. All you have to do is go to the post section on my YouTube page. Okay. And click that link on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Eastern, we will have our meeting as usual. That tells me everything I need to know. Trust me, that's not a flex. You're still not a Christian. And you still can't formulate a proper sentence either. So I don't even know what your point is, but you're still an atheist. I mean, I don't care how you phrase your atheism, you're still one. You're still and you probably need to have your hard drives checked for other things as well. Judging by how you view everybody's okay, you might want to, the FBI might need to check your hard drive for some stuff. Just, I might suggest they do it too. You never know. I might suggest it to them. But we'll be there on Sunday. You guys want to tune in, feel free to jump in there as well. Okay. We'll catch you guys up on that. And again, so Monday, no meeting. We're back on Tuesday. Savage Patriots will be up today, 6:30 Eastern. Too Strong is live tonight, by the way. We'll be discussing the commuting sentence for Larry Hoover. We will be talking, oddly enough, we will be actually having on the panel some people from the gangs, the Gangster Disciples, and a bunch of the spokespeople from the gang itself, those who are out and are leading it. So it will be a very, very robust conversation. It could prove beneficial or not. It's a toss-up. So the Gangster Disciples thing, we will be dealing with that, talking about what the impact of Larry, who, if he does get released on the state charges and he gets out of prison, what impact that could have, what it would mean for the community as a whole with the gang relations and all that stuff. Can he make a difference? That's the whole conversation we'll have today on Too Strong. It should be interesting, to say the least. Very interesting. So we'll catch you guys then. Scrolling at the bottom, you know what to do. You know what to do. That's up to you. How you handle that. Don't handle it. It's all good. Love you guys. Mean it. Yeah, you don't have to mute at all unless there's noise going on in the background. That's the only time we'll ask you to mute up. It's an open forum conversation, but if you have noise in the background, decide you can mute yourself up, or I can do it if it gets too noisy. But the whole point is not to be silent; is to talk. So make sure you do that. Show up and converse. Each one has. That's the whole point. Okay, each one has. 4 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. Okay, 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll catch you up then. All right, we'll be out. We'll check you guys later. Wisdom calls to you from the streets, so please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, to rely on yourself in no way. Believe